All right. I'm not going until somebody talks to me.
Good morning.
All right. Thank you, Shirley. How are y'all? Doing great?
Good
Great.
morning.
All right. Good morning. Well,
Good
let's get this
morning.
day going. I know it's hot. Everybody feels like they should be on vacation. But we got some real estate to sell here. So let's go. Let me get the numbers up and let's start with the numbers today. So if you remember, I'm in Broward County single family. Yep, Broward County single family. Last week we were talking about this active inventory number. And this active inventory number, due to the holiday, was kind of low.
Oh, took the audio
Then
off.
if you look,
Oh,
this week we bounced back a little bit at 728, but it's still not what it was prior to the holiday. So my suspicion is accurate that the inventory is tailoring down. There's less coming on the market, which uh, any statistic has an upside and a downside, right? Like the downside is there's less competition for your buyers. There's less inventory to look at. The upside is tighter inventory for your sellers, right? Like less competition on the market. It should help move some of those stale listings if there's less coming on the market. Nonetheless, we certainly are seeing a trending line down on active listings hitting the market. Under contract, we've got 181. Pendings, we've got 138. Comparable to the last 2 weeks. A little bit, man, probably pretty flat from the 3 weeks, right? So in Broward County single family, all the way back to the middle of June, we've kind of had the same number of houses going under contract week to week. Looking at our closings, we had 221 in the last 7 days, kind of the middle, second week of the month number, but it's certainly down a little bit. We've had some big weeks, 230, 250, 277, 281, down to 221. We did have a 213 comparable week in June. But just pay attention. It doesn't look like anything's crazy disrupted here. If I hit Broward County condo, um, we had a bump in inventory, same storyline, right? Like we had the 4th of July holiday, little bit increase this week, but we're not seeing the same numbers we were seeing previously. If you're a newer agent, that's what's called a bell curve. And the bell curve typically slows down towards the end of the summer. So it's not like the market's falling apart. It's just seasonality that we're paying attention to. There was 103 under contract, 85 pending, kind of consistent here with properties going under contract. 159 closings in the last 7 days. You had the end of the month, but the 3 weeks prior, this is a bigger number than the 3 weeks prior to the end of the month. So maybe the condos are moving a little more in Broward County. We'll keep going. Let's look at Miami-Dade next. Miami-Dade single family. We've got 644 active inventory. Big bump here. Actually, the biggest bump we've seen in almost a month. So we had a low month of June. And we're seeing a little bump in single family in Miami-Dade in single family inventory. 97 went under contract, which is a low week for them, even compared to the holiday week. So not a lot went under contract in Miami-Dade. My suspicion is everybody's watching World Cup and not looking at houses. Um, but 135 pending. And then 142 closed out the last 7 days. Not too far off what we were seeing the last 6, 7 weeks. So obviously there's an end of the month bump here. Miami-Dade condo. You got 838 active status. That's a considerable bump. I mean, we had a couple weeks in the 900s, but 838 is a pretty strong new listing coming on the market number. There's 79 that went under contract and 121 pending. A little bit stronger than last week. Not as strong as 2 weeks ago and 122 closings, which is a low number. We saw that in Broward County as well on condos. Yet I have a sneaky suspicion the condos are heating up a little bit. Are y'all feeling that? Y'all are alive today. All right. Palm Beach.
I want to put something in. I mean, if no one's going to say anything, I feel condos. I feel a lot of the owners are even trying to market out, even though it might not be favorable for them. They're so willing to try it out and price it somewhat correctly.
So the prices are getting more realistic, which is causing that inventory to move, right? Got it. All right. Palm Beach single family, 758 active status changes. Big bump. That's like the biggest number we've seen in six or 7 weeks. And even before that, 758's a really strong single family inventory number coming on the market. So Palm Beach is a little bit different story than Broward and Dade in terms of inventory. In terms of going under contract, 178. We've seen a little slowdown. We had quite a few in the 200. I mean, most of those weeks on there were in the 200s. We're down to 178, so it's a little slowdown there. Pendings at 77. We were in the triple digits for quite a few of those weeks. 77 and 69 last week. You're probably feeling that in the marketplace a little bit. But there was 262 closings in the last 7 days, 317, 292 at the end of the month. If I look comparatively, 262 is a little bit low. So all three counties had low closings in the last 7 days. Palm Beach's inventory is really strong in single family, where Miami-Dade and Broward is a little weaker. Condos, let's look at condos. So 544 active status, that's a really consistent, strong number of condos coming on the market in Palm Beach. 87 went under contract. So AI is saying a big wow drop, but this number looks like it bounces around quite a bit. There were 77 2 weeks ago, 108 last week, and then 87 this week. 59 pending, 64 the week before, and 137 closing the last 7 days, which is the same story we saw across the board on condos. Where's my wise ones? What are you seeing? What are you feeling?
Well, Brett, I have a question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a rookie question, but whatever, I'll ask it anyways. Assuming the assuming I have a condo now listed and the pricing is correct. Like any which way I do the comps, the price is a little bit underpriced and it's priced correctly. Would you recommend right now a price reduction, or would you just give it a little more time given like the current market conditions, FIFA, the external factors, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
right now.
So I'm going to ask the seasoned pros on the call their advice first, and then I'll give mine.
I say do it right now.
Do it now, Audrey.
Yeah, do
I
it
think
right
so too.
ahead. I have condos right now, and to give you an idea, I went to Miami to show condos this weekend. We were going to go on the contract like $40,000 less. And then there is one that she wanted to sell so bad that she gave us a price reduction of $120,000. Now she was listed at 510, and she's like, I'll drop it. I'm done. I'm dropping at 400. She's been on the market for maybe like I don't know, 200 days. Yet she's not dropping the price, but yes, she's willing to take more. I will go ahead of the market because right now my client still did not buy. He ended up like putting a contract. We lost the contract because the seller had a problem with taxes, so they end up not wanting to sell anymore. But he's just looking out there and he's doing offers $40,000 to $50,000 less. So I will just go ahead in front of everybody right now and then be sure that you can sell it before they start dropping, because I still see prices dropping, to be honest with you, condos.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, you also gotta look at like what the buyer's looking at. So don't compare it just to the building because they're shopping in other areas. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people sometimes forget to look at. Like, what is the consumer seeing? And is it really priced aggressively? It has to be priced aggressively. It can't be priced just consistent because there's so much inventory. And the condition of it. Because the cost to renovate in a condominium is tough.
And the assessment, because honestly,
Mhm.
right now I have 80,000 to 120 assessments, and thank God, in a way, a lot of association as of March 1st, and I don't know if it's a national or rules or whatever, but I had 3 association that told me that as of March 1st, they decided that if if a seller is selling a property, they have to pay the assessment in full. So I don't know if that's a new law or whatever, but 3 association just told me that in the past week.
So there's another change coming up in August. I believe if it's not a cash purchase and it's a mortgage, I believe the reserves has to be 25% down, 25%, or rather 15%. I know that the
No, it's
number
25. It's 25.
at 25% in reserves. So that's going to be another assessment for everyone. So to me, if I had a condo right now, I'd want to get rid of it as soon as humanly possible before that hits.
Well, I think
And we
that-
having, yeah, sorry.
You know, Lee, you started with it's priced right. Well, that's a misnomer in real estate, because if it was priced right, it would sell, right?
Yeah.
So it's priced to comparables. But the other thing that Audrey said that I think is really important is sometimes in pricing, you got to be in front of the market, not
Yeah.
at the market.
Mhm.
So most agents will say, oh, it's priced perfect. Well, obviously not, because it's not selling. And sometimes you got to get in front of the market to move the inventory. And it's not that exact science. It's certainly condition and marketing and positioning and all the stuff that goes with it. But if your seller is motivated, the conversation I think we're all saying here is how do we get in front of the market instead of at the market?
Yeah, yeah. And I have one more thing to say. What Nadine says is very important. Now, they just start talking about it on Friday last week. We already having issues right now to get financing for people that are looking to have a 10% reserve, and now they want to bump it to 25% reserve. I mean, this is huge, guys. If this is really happening, that's gonna, to me, I believe that's gonna crash the market. Because right now we have major assessment. We have no reserve that we can get financing. We have lawsuit because now the association are going against the builders. Every building I went to see in Miami had a lawsuit against the builder. I have one in Pompano that has a lawsuit against the builder. So I guess what I'm saying is you need to price your properties right and way ahead of the market right now if you want to sell, because if the law pass of the 25% reserve, it's going to be even more difficult to sell it.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that's a little bit of a lost art in real estate is absorption rate. I'm not sure most agents even understand absorption rate or know how to calculate it. But in this context, absorption rate's really important. So I saw Jennifer Weisberg talking about you need to consider what your supply and demand analysis showed. Really, that's absorption rate. For average days on market to sell the property, right? So if the absorption rate in a building is higher, you definitely have to be priced in front of the market, right? If the absorption rate's low, you may choose to hold because there's not a lot of inventory in that building. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
it might be a fun team meeting to recap how to calculate absorption
How to
rate.
calculate is important because obviously the importance of it is obvious, but I forget how to calculate it and especially like which. Thank you all, seasoned agents. Love you. Bye.
You're welcome. Good to see you, Lee. All right.
Bye.
Where's our broker?
Right here.
All right, this one's yours.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that.
Well, you're the broker. Come on.
I actually printed out the entire guideline. I'm going to distribute this to the offices this week. Basically, what NAR is doing is pushing this down to all of the MLSs in laying out what the difference is between an office exclusive listing, the pre-marketing guidance that goes with it, and then what the options are. They want, I don't put this properly. You all read or should know about the lawsuit against Compass with the transaction fees. This is going to be the same type of issue in that agents are not explaining to the sellers what the potential, in my opinion, the potential harm to them can be by doing an office exclusive listing. Okay. Let me read this for you. The office exclusive exempt listing is an option the sellers can choose if they want to list their property for sale without public marketing. That means that it is filed with the MLS. It is shared with agents within the listing firm, dependent on the listing contract. It is not publicly marketed. It is not disseminated to MLS participants and subscribers who are not within the listing firm.
So if Facebook group, team meeting, that kind of thing, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you can talk about it with the agents within your brokerage, excuse me, and that's it. You're cutting out the other 90,000 realtors in our marketplace from knowing anything about your listing. Now, how are you going to sell that to your seller? That's always been my question with the companies that are like Compass that are doing these office exclusives. How do you properly sell this to somebody? I don't believe they can. My belief is they're not explaining what the options are. It's saying here, the choice
is a lot about disclosure too, right?
It's most of what this is. It says when to use. The choice to deploy this option belongs entirely to the seller in accordance with their best interests, which can include health, safety, privacy, or any instance where their individual interests outweigh the benefit of a broad market exposure. Okay, it's the duties agents to advise the seller of the MLS benefits they are waiving or delaying with this option. The broker is required to obtain the signed seller authorization / disclosure with an office exclusive listing. Every realtor association owned MLS must offer an office exclusive exempt listing option. So this is totally different than the pre-marketing listing options, which is coming soon, which you all know about. Okay. This is important for you to know because at Keller Williams, we're not dealing with office exclusives. Okay? We don't believe in it. And at least I personally don't. And Brett, I believe you don't as well. You're not doing a proper service to a seller unless there is a very, very specific reason why they don't want it in the MLS. But this is all about disclosure. You need to have them sign off on this, and you need to be able to explain this in very clear terms. Like I said, I've printed out the form that they've mentioned in here, and I will get this to the offices so that they can have it posted for all you to understand what it means.
All right. The other big thing
Can I
is
ask something in regard of that?
Yes, you can.
Sure, Audrey.
So I'm doing a lot of rentals listing right now, and I'm actually allowing the agent to market the property. But I realized by doing that on Zillow, my name is automatically removed and they're going as a listing agent. This is probably the third time has happened. So I have contacted them. I'm like, hey, I allow you to market the property, but I don't allow you to have you remove my name as a listing agent. So I just want to point that out to you guys that as soon as you give them the permission, a lot of them are going to do that, and it's automatically, they don't even tell you about it. So lately I have not allowed other agent to market the property, because if not, I'm removed from Zillow, I'm removed from Realtor, except Realtor.com, but I think everybody else.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback, Audrey, and I'd share that personally. Gail and I have never allowed agents to market our listings. I simply approached it from the perspective of we're out there doing our job properly. We're marketing our listing. It's out there on the internet. We give someone else permission to do it. Now a potential buyer or a potential tenant is seeing the same listing in one, two, three, four different places, and it's confusing to the seller, and I'm giving away our potential business to another agent. Now, is it doing service to the seller? Yeah, it might be, but this is your business.
Opinion, right?
Yeah, just
Okay.
a difference of opinions.
Yeah.
I have always given everybody the option to do what you feel best in this, which is why that field is open. I've not shut that off from a broker standpoint, but it's up to you to deal with your business the way you feel best suited
I
to.
think one specific thing inside this conversation is there actually is quite a few listing agents that don't focus on buyer business. And those agents may actually enjoy allowing other agents to market their properties. If you're an agent that focuses on both listings and buyers, you may make that choice, but it's your choice, right? Like it can be marketed by other people in your office. Certainly, if they're doing open houses for you and things like that, I would expect them to do some kind of social media strategy, marketing their open house, which in turn is marketing your listing, right?
But you can do that with the agents asking for permission from you, not just opening it up to everyone out there.
Correct.
So yeah, they should be asking anyway. And I'm
Yeah.
going to say one other caveat. I missed part of it because I was dealing with an issue, but the other part of it is if you're listing for rentals, there has been quite a bit of rental fraud and people getting duped with rentals. So you have to be very careful with who you're allowing to market any rental listings of yours. I think you need to keep those a little closer for safety of the general public.
All right, let me hit a couple FYIs. So I always have too many articles for this call, but we always post them so you can go read them. The 21st Century Road to Housing Act is in law. The key items to this is really centered around FHA loans, and we don't do a lot of FHA loans. However, what I think this can address is there is a big gap of first-time home buyers in the marketplace. And there's going to be legislation. If you remember during the Great Recession, there was a whole lot of tax incentives for first-time homebuyer tax credit. It kind of pulled us out of the Great Recession. I've been waiting to see what the government's going to do from a program, tax incentives, whatever, to kind of incentivize first-time home buyers back into the market. I don't think this is going to make a huge dent, but it's something to be aware of, right? So just know that the FHA is changing a little bit. The other thing, there's an article on the business journals this week that's talking about foreclosures are rising and these areas are hit hardest. It does have Florida ranked third. Now it doesn't go specific into what part of Florida, but there was 4,900 foreclosure filings. That's the largest number on this list. So not that I think there's going to be a flood of foreclosures, but I do think it's worthy of notation that it's up 22% from March 2024. And remember, that was a small number back then, and this still isn't a huge number. It's just an FYI. Got it? There also the best value in South Florida condo market. There's a podcast, and this podcast was done by a investor. So I think it would be an interesting podcast to listen to about the condo market in South Florida, condo market at a turning point. And he really kind of goes into it from a logic numbers perspective. And if you're a a condo agent, this would be a worth a listen to. So I'll leave that in the circle. You can grab this, but it was a good article. The other FYI, I think is kind of funny. So those of you that don't even know what the Kelly Blue Book is, the Kelly Blue Book was the gold standard of pricing for used vehicles. However, I've been hearing this for about 6 months that they're getting into the real estate lead generation space. I don't know anybody that's tested it. Has anybody on the call tested Kelly Blue Book leads?
Nope.
Okay, so FYI, this is not the first time I've heard it. I've heard it over the last 6 months. So just kind of interesting lead gen opportunity potentially. I don't know. I'm not vouching for it. I think it's fascinating. All right. I'll end with this. We keep going through a hot and cold relationship with this Iran conflict. It certainly took a negative turn over the last 7 days, and I think it's going to raise some mortgage rates in the short term. The counterpart of that is the housing demand still keeps being resilient to it. So even though I think rates are gonna start to go up, I didn't even look what they were on Friday. Let me look real quick. They were 6.64, which is the line in the sand that says it starts to affect buyer demand. And I do think our rates are going to go north of this for a period of time. So it can be quite disruptive for a short period of time. Yet maybe I'm too optimistic, but I just don't believe it's going to stay this way. I believe we're going to see a good second half of 2026. Thoughts?
Well, an article came out in Florida Realtor magazine this morning. Half the Fed wants a hike, half doesn't, and nobody's budging. Federal Reserve officials remain split on interest rates through the year end, leaving the mortgage rate direction unclear for customers weighing when to buy. It's saying, key takeaways from the articles. Fed's even split on rate direction means customers waiting for cheaper mortgages have no clear timeline. A hike is just as possible as a cut before the year end.
Yeah.
This is just another conversation to have with your buyers. You're sitting on a fence, flip a coin. Which way are things going to go?
Well, I think if you get into the game of trying to predict, you'll lose. If anybody's in the game of trying to predict, I am on this call every Monday, and I lose just as much as I win. So the reality is you can't predict. And what I'm hearing in these messages is the market's resilient right now. Just keep pushing and doing the things that you're doing. It looks like condos are actually having a little bit of a increase. It looks like inventory and single families coming down, which could lead to a little bit of a competitive space, which is good for your stale listings. But to Lee's comment earlier, it might be highly strategic to price in front of the market right now. Any other thoughts, guys? There's your update. Happy Monday.
Thank you, Brett.
Bye, thank you.
Happy Monday.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.